Thanks for tuning in to Bourbon Drop. I'm your host, Myron. Today, we've got a controversial topic on the channel. Now, look, I bought a bottle recently, and it made me question why I am chasing all of the new bottles when you have bangers. Like, these are shelf monsters. These two right here, these can't be beat, man. I'm sorry. These are two of the best products that are out there on the shelves today. You got your JD SBBP and you got your JD SBBP Rye. Readily available, always on the shelf. Sometimes they can drink a little hot depending on, I guess what batch it is, because that Heroes Edition, I've had some higher than that Heroes Edition. That thing drink a little hot. But this has made me question why I want to keep buying these bottles. Now look, don't get me wrong. I enjoy finding new bottles and I enjoy giving you guys reviews of bottles that I find on the shelf on the channel. So the fact that I have a channel does keep me buying bottles, but I probably would buy a lot less. But I appreciate you guys. Look, stick around. I've got some great bottles coming up. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. But this is the bottle that sparked the controversy. So I was going to give this bottle its own episode. And then I was like, no, shout out to Byron from Lord of the Drams. He had the Sable bottle and he was like, I didn't have too much good to say about it, so I didn't want to put it on the channel. And I kind of felt the same way about this bottle. So then I started thinking, well, instead of just all out dogging it, maybe I'll just say this is a brand that I'm done with, because this is not the only bottle that I have not been satisfied with. And then I said, no, I'm going to turn it into a video about, has it been like harder for you guys to just like spend money on bottles? Has it been harder for you to go into a store and say, okay, that's a new bottle, let me pick it up? Or that is an established bottle that I am very familiar with. However, the last few releases haven't been good. I don't know if I necessarily want to pick it up or not. Anyway, this bottle of Yellowstone, it's a very beautiful bottle. I wanted this glass so long, but the normal special release comes in at 101 proof and it is $130. I did not want to spend that. I hear that they have some great picks. So when I walked into the Virginia ABC and I saw the 7-year in the same glass as the special release bottles, I had to pick it up. Got it home, cracked it. I was like, okay, let me get it down to the shoulder. Let it get down to the shoulder. And I was a little disappointed. And it made me question why I'm running out buying these bottles. Like I said, when I know there are shelf bangers out there like this. My problem is, like I said, I like chasing down new bottles. 2, I like variety. This thing right here, garbage, trash. That's the American single malt. And this thing right here are just they're not great bottles, man. I had high expectations because coming from a long lineage of distillers, the Bean family, man, you expect a certain level of quality. Not saying that these aren't that quality. I know they aren't distilling their own stuff, but it's just, they taste like MGP. And I'm a fan of MGP, especially like when you talk about Tumbling Dice, when you talk about Bare Knuckles, back when they were taking, stuff from MGP. It had the savory note, it had like this smoky bacon note, this maple note I really liked. But a lot of MGP products that I don't necessarily like, and I know it's not from MGP because they get it from Kentucky, which leads me to believe that maybe they're getting it from the same people who supply Ezra, because Ezra and some of MGP have this really clove-heavy Swedish fish cinnamon note. And I don't mind that in a bourbon, but when that is the only flavor that is in a bourbon, that is when I really don't care for it that much. This is very sweet, decent mouthfeel, but it doesn't offer any richness. It doesn't offer like a savory note. Those are notes that I really look for. This is just like strictly vanilla and Swedish fish, like with a decent mouthfeel. And this is pretty much the same. Now this is the 107 that's 6 years old. I picked this up because it was $49.99. I said, why not get my feet wet with a Yellowstone, since people say that Yellowstone does put out some good stuff. And I was kind of disappointed. I know that the bottle doesn't really show that I was disappointed, but I've been going back to it to try and get through it. This, however, 70 bucks, man, $69.99. And I said, it's getting harder for me to start just spending that much money on these bottles, not knowing if they're good or not. Look, we're gonna get into one bottle, ECBP, in a minute. But that's another bottle that's kind of been getting to me lately. But anyway, I am going to give you guys, not only am I going to talk about the bottles that is getting harder for me to buy, but I am going to give you guys replacements. So please stick around. I really appreciate it. The replacement for this bottle, I've got quite a few. So to get into the replacement for this bottle, if you want to go apples to apples, 7 years old, 115 proof, my first replacement is going to be Old Forester 1920. Old Forester 1920, 115 proof, 6 to 8 years old, heat cycle warehouse. You just can't beat it, man. Sometimes these Old Foresters, these 1920s, and even some of the blue labels can drink a little hot, but they offer richer notes. I like that banana note in there. Nancy Fraley says that it comes from stress yeast, and I said stress all my yeast because I love that banana note. But it offers richer vanilla flavors. It offers richer like brown sugar notes. So to me, this is a far better product at a cheaper price, because you can find the 1920 for around 50 to 55 bucks, sometimes 56, and you're talking about $69.99 at the Virginia ABC, so that's 70 bucks all day. I think I'd really rather buy this product right here. All right, now this is going to be way higher in proof. So this thing is 64.6 ABV, so that's going to be 129.2 proof, but 7 years old. So we're going 7 years old. We're going to 7 years old. Yes, it's a higher proof point. Higher proof doesn't necessarily always mean it's going to be better, but I do find this more flavorful, more enjoyable. And guess what? It's from Indiana. It's MGP. Another one that we can kind of go toe for toe, right? 6 years, 6 to 8 years. We've got the Wild Turkey Rare Breed. This thing comes in at 116.8. So 1.8 proof points higher than the Yellowstone. And just an all-around better product, man. All right, not the last, but the next one that's going to be a replacement, Maker's Mark's picks. These Maker's Mark picks, coming in at anywhere between 110 and 112, are in my opinion, way better products. Richer, oakier, more brown sugar, more doughy. You get like this, I would say, this like Krispy Kreme glazed donut note, just better on the nose and better on the palate. And last but not least, coming in at close to the same price, I think these are around 59 bucks. This is going to be your Still Austin. Now this thing comes in at 116 proof, 1 proof point higher. Yes, it is younger. The Texas climate does age it a little faster, but I think it is an all-around better product. Let me clear this table out and I'll start with the next bottle. Next bottle up, and I talked about the glass when it came to that Yellowstone bottle, but the glass on this thing is just beautiful, man. I had to get one on the bar. I had to get one on the channel. I know, shout out to my man Kenny for letting me do my first review of an Old Fitz ever. This is the 9-year Bottled in Bond Decanter Series Old Fitzgerald. The bottle is just beautiful, man. It is a $130 bottle. Is it a $130 whiskey inside of the bottle? I'm gonna have to say no. I said that on the review. Is it worth paying 65 to 70 bucks more than the 7-year? No. I put them side by side. And was it better? Yes, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. It was better. It had oakier notes, it had richer notes, deeper notes, but in my opinion, the better buy is the 7 year. You're talking about a 100 proof, 7-year product. And while it's not as rich and in depth as the 9-year, to me, it's a better buy because the 9-year is not that much better than the 7-year. You're talking about 60 bucks, 7 years, bottled in bond, weeded product, so it drinks a little softer, but it still offers an enjoyable experience. I mean, honestly, if I had to do it all over again, I wanted this bottle so bad on the bar that I spent that money for it. But this is probably going to be the only one that I ever buy, unless another one like Ultra Age comes out, like the 17 and the 19, which I thought were great. I might try and get those, but let's say you get another 10 year, an 11 year, or 12 year, I'm not buying them. I'm sorry, I'm not. So my replacement for this bottle is definitely going to be the old Fitz 7 year. If you are a fan of this channel, you know I love this distillery. I've been upset with the bottles that they've been releasing lately when it comes to the ECBP line. So this is the C924. This is the last Elijah Craig barrel proof that I bought. I see the A125s all of the time. I see them on the shelves, I walk right past them. I just hear that it's mediocre for what it is. The B525, since the A125s haven't moved, the Virginia ABC just seems like they will not re-up for and get the B525s. Now, shout out to my bourbon brother Brian, man. Not my brother B-Og, but my bourbon brother Brian from the Whiskey 6. He sent out a text message today talking about the new specs on the C925. That thing is going to be 9 years and 1 month old, and it's going to be like 120 plus proof. Now, he said, he was like, look, I can find those as picks all day. And Sean chimed in and said, yes, he has found similar bottles. I myself have found similar bottles as well, but Sean said his most enjoyable pick was a 9 year. My most enjoyable pick, if you've been a fan of the channel for some time, was the ladies 8 year pick that I did. Not that I did, but that I got years ago. And that thing was a monster, man. It was phenomenal. But picks that I've had since then, other than the Angel Share pick that was a 9 year, have been good. They have really been good. But we have been accustomed to getting like these phenomenal 12 year, sometimes a little bit older picks. Not picks, but ECBP releases that have just been well-rounded, well put together, have been a great value, a bang for your buck. But these latest ECBPs have not been that. So I think, honestly, I'm done with ECBPs. Larcenies have been putting out some amazing products. Now look, I'm gonna be honest with you. We are in September now. I was looking forward to the C925, knowing that I've only been seeing the January release, hoping to get it. But after Brian, sent that text message, I was like, well, I'm not looking forward anymore. Finally, shout out to Bowie, finally got my hands on a Larceny A125, and while it was good, it was very, very, very hot. Like, that thing drank hot. It was 125 proof. I have a Larceny 128 proof that drinks way easier than that 125. It just does, for whatever reason. So while it was good, like I said, it was hot. Now, I am on the hunt for the Larcenies, the new B525. I will snatch that thing up when I see it. The B525 Elijah Craig, I will probably snatch that up. The C925 Elijah Craig, I don't think I'm going to snatch that thing up. Now, when it comes to a replacement for the new ECBP releases, I'm going to have to say, and this is going to represent two bottles, this is the Knob Creek Cask Strength. Now, I know these are a little harder to get your hands on right now. I was a little upset when they first started talking about releasing the Knob Creek Cask Strength because the master distiller said that they weren't going to necessarily focus on age. They were going to focus on more on flavor. So these probably won't always be 9 years. However, they are keeping the 9 year age statement on the Knob Creek 9 year single barrel. That is another great replacement for the ECBPs. Now, way back in the day, Beam, they shared their recipe with Heaven Hill, so they pretty much use the same recipe, and you can still pick up some of those similarities, that nuttiness, some of those clove notes that they have in both of them. So, like I said, I do think it is a better replacement, especially when it comes to these cask strengths. Now, the cask strengths, because the Elijah Craigs used to come in at a little higher proof. Now they're starting to come in those teen numbers. These are still up in the 120s. Like I said, 123. The 9 year 120, that's a staple. That's going to be 120 all day long. The new cask strengths are going to be somewhere between 120 and 128. I believe someone said that they're not going to go higher than 128. However, They have had some barrels that have been in the 130s, but from what I was told, they will take those barrels to blend in with some of the barrels that are in the teens to get it up to that 120. But anyway, I find that this one plus the 9-year 120 is going to be a superior product over the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof all day long. Let's get to the next bottle. Next bottle up is going to be for my taters and tater haters. So look, I am a fan of Blantons. This thing right here it was good. To me, I thought it was my 93 proof monster at 60 bucks. Now that this thing has shot up to, I believe the Virginia ABC has it at 82 bucks. To me, it is not worth it, man. This thing has become harder to buy at that price. And if it shoots up to 90, I probably will never, ever, ever, you hear me saying that, ever buy another one. But when it comes to a replacement for this bottle, I am going to have to say the Green River. Close in proof. So the Green River comes in at 90 proof, Blanton's comes in at 93, but there is something about just that normal Green River that just does it for me, man. And coming in at 35 bucks, you can't beat it. Now, I think the Blanton's is around 6 to 8 years old. Green River is probably 4 to 6, but to me, taste-wise, price-wise, man, you can't beat this bottle. This is one of the better replacements. Now, I did used to think that it was the Blue Note. It was the Blue Note Juke Joint, the 93 proofer. I put them side by side. I thought the 93 proof was close, put them side by side, and no, the Blanton still beat it out. But I think this one right here is just a great, great replacement for this bottle. Let's get it. All right, so if you are a fan of this channel, you probably have seen this review recently. I don't know when this one is coming out, but this has been shot after that review has been released. But this is the new Sable. So I think it is promising. I think I like where it's going. So it has opened up a little bit. I am starting to get a little bit more of the brown sugar versus getting more of the prunes and raisins that I was getting when I did shoot the video. So a lot more of that brown sugar is coming out, more of a burnt raisin note is starting to come out in this thing. But the fact that they are finishing it with staves helps the color and to me helps the flavor, but I am still picking up some of those useful grainy notes. Now, when it comes to a replacement for this bottle, being 55 bucks, I'm gonna have to say Old Forester 1910. 94 proof, 93 proof. 55 bucks, Virginia ABC, I believe now has this one for 55 bucks. And on sale, I think you can get it somewhere between $49.99, sometimes $52.99. It just depends on what type of sale they're running. But this one is double oak. This one is finished with staves, 1 proof point higher. Heat cycle warehouse, don't know how old this one is, but it has to be at least 4 because of, you know, the laws when it comes to whiskey in this country, and it doesn't have an age statement on it. So I am going to say that this is probably going to be a better replacement. This is one of the best replacements overall. This is a better bottle in my opinion, and you're spending the same amount of money and getting pretty much the same when it comes to specs on paper whiskey. Let's get into the next one. So the last bottle up, and thank you guys for sticking around. I would love for you guys to put in the comments what bottles are becoming harder for you guys to buy. Even put some of the replacements that you think, fit the bill for those bottles. But this is going to be the Old Forester 1924. 120. Is it $25 or $130? Maybe $129.99, something like that. If you can find it for retail. Now you might find it for more than retail. I wouldn't go past retail for this bottle. Now that I've had it, I really don't like going retail for this bottle, especially when it was beat out by the Old Forester Black Cap. Now look, you guys, we can argue all day, but I know that this bottle is virtually impossible to find. This is the early times Black Cap. Back when Brown-Forman was producing early times, and they were making this bottle right here, coming in at a liter for like 22 to 26 bucks. You couldn't beat it. And putting them in a blind and having this relatively cheap bottle beat this relatively expensive bottle set it all for me. I know you can't find this, so I am going to offer a second replacement. That second replacement is still slightly harder to find, but is becoming more and more findable. This is going to be your Old Forester Black Label 100 proof single barrel. Now, when I did the blind, this did come in third. I know that it says 10 years on the bottle. However, it does seem like it has older whiskey in it, because I get that very distinctive fingernail polish remover note, that acetone note that I pick up in older whiskeys, especially like American light whiskeys, like ones that are 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. It is a very, very prominent note. I picked that up in here. I would probably say that this probably has 15-year-old whiskey in it. I know that the youngest whiskey in the blend is 10 years because of the bottle, but I would say that it probably has somewhere around 15-year-old whiskey in it. However, this is not super far behind. You can watch my blind, you can see all of the notes that I did when I did the blind, but this was not super far behind. So the Black Cap won, the 1924 came in second, but we're talking about $100 price difference. And then now, when you get to this one, we're talking more of like a $70 price difference. Because if you find these for retail, I think they're around 50 to 55 bucks. So, you know, look, like I said, I just wanted to see if you guys have found it as hard as I have lately to buy whiskey. I know I have a channel, and I love putting out material for you guys, and I love hunting new bottles. I love trying to find that new unicorn, you know, so it's a little hard for me to stop buying new bottles and chasing new bottles. I hate wasting money though, man, and that is the big part of it. But anyway, like I said, put it in the comments. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. With that being said, let the whiskey flow. Never run out, let's get it to a drop. Until next time.